Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Path Forward. My name is Cassandra Williamson. I'm coming to you from Pike County, Kentucky, right along the West Virginia border. Well, river that actually separates the two states. But anyway, that's where I am. And, it's been a beautiful day here today. Got a lot accomplished. Helped my brother around his shop, got off some stuff and all that kind of thing, and worked all day. Got in, started fixing supper about 4 o'clock. I fixed stuffed pork chops with deviled eggs. I made the deviled eggs, and had green beans with that, and then some jalapeno bread. So it was good. It's good. And family's eating all of that now, and I'm on the show live with you. So this is the Path Forward. So what do you want to talk about today? There's a lot of topics around here that can be talked about. Let's pick one that's really local, but really close to me right here at home, okay? Right here, West Virginia is just across, well, let me see, that way. About 5 miles from here. I'm in the heart of the Hatfield-McCoy feud country. If you don't know about that, you can find it. That's where the Civil War people all just started fighting over a girl and a pig, okay, after the war. And then it lasted until 1920. But anyway, so that's what's been going on here today. Got a lot, like I said, got a lot accomplished. Do go check out the website. Go to www.cassandra-llc.com. Go check that out. And then go in there and find the menu button over in the upper right-hand corner. You go down to subscribe. If you haven't done so already, go in there and check it out. So there's a couple of things coming up this weekend that I wanted to point out to you. There's a march taking place tomorrow, a protest in front of Fox News headquarters in Washington, D.C., a bunch of veterans are putting this thing on, and hopefully, I would really love to be there myself, but hopefully there's a huge crowd. I do support this particular event in terms of the veteran side of things. Now, if it gets out of hand and people start acting stupid and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, trying to draw attention in that kind of way, well, look, I'm going to back off from you. I'm not going to sit here and play games with you if you're going to go in there and act like a bunch of idiots. But go out there and march, go protest in front of Fox News tomorrow. You can find information about it and online. And then the same organization is having a protest march in front of the Heritage Foundation on Sunday at noon. We did that. Several of us did that back in November of 2023. And there weren't many of us there, but we got the attention of their security forces, but it was all because of the security chief of police probably, but all because I went out and talked to them. I went and had a conversation with them. Let them know we're not going to be crazy. We're all veterans out here. We're not going to be a bunch of idiots. Now, hopefully they won't do that on Sunday. Won't be a bunch of idiots out there on Sunday either. Don't go around and take your top off and go flying around in the streets and stuff like that. Letting it all hang out. No. And leave the dog mask at home. Yes, I'm chastising our people in the LGBTQ plus community because sometimes you just go way overboard. With all the crazy stuff. Uh-oh, I'm back. Lost the connection. I am in a holler in eastern Kentucky, just so you know, okay? I was doubting whether or not we'd be able to do a show at all today because earlier this morning, the entire internet system, the Gearhart Communications that has most of them around here, was down all over Pike County and parts of Mingo County and over into Virginia. It was a mess. Jeez. But yeah, so let's talk about West Virginia for a minute. All right. Yeah. Just got a message from a friend of mine, mentioned about talking about the march, but also something else I want to talk about here in just a minute too. But let's get into what's going on across the river in West Virginia and likely to come to a state near you. So I'm going to share a screen And this is a story that just came out today. I think it's probably yesterday where this bill was actually signed into law. But let me see if I can sign this, show this thing. Riley Gaines. There we go. Share. All right. This is West Virginia Public Broadcasting. And I guess this was on the 12th, which is a couple days ago. But anyway, so they signed this bill into law. And this bill defines men and women. It also says that if a public agency or group or organization that's supported by the state or the county governments or whatever, local governmental entities within the state of West Virginia, if you collect any kind of information, the only information you can collect are particularly around your sex is the biological sex information, not gender, nothing like that. They only want men and women. There was a caveat put in this bill that was really ridiculous by the House or the legislature in West Virginia. They had included a proviso in there that said something about, hey, if you have a question about a child's gender or sex, I should say, if you have a question about a child's sex going into a public school system or going wherever, that someone had the right to inspect and make sure that they were who they say they are and not something else. Well, fortunately, the Senate in West Virginia removed that part before it got to the governor's desk for his signature. So that part, it's bad enough. And then this whole thing is just an attack on trans people, all trans people in the state of West Virginia. And it's following the mandates that come out of the federal government, out of the White House. It comes out of the Heritage Foundation, which is what they're doing. They're just copying all of this stuff over into the state and local levels. All right, so I don't know what they'll do with people who have already had their birth certificates changed like me. Hopefully nothing, because, that's a shame. I'm keeping my stuff the way it is. We'll have a fight. We'll have a fight on our hands. People are just, what is the problem that people think that they've got to go after somebody because they are different than you? We pose no threat to anyone, and yet here we are. But now let me take that. There's a little caveat to that too, okay? There are some people in our community who are just asswipes. Yes, there are. Does that surprise anyone? No, I don't think so. But anyway, I'm going to call them out. So let me go back and stop sharing on this one and back over to this. All right. So, yeah, West Virginia is pulling out one. I don't know what they're going to do with all of the stuff that has to do with birth certificates and all that kind of stuff. Will they go grandfather everything back to the original, or what are they going to do? Because mine has all been changed. Everything in my record has been changed, from high school work diploma to college diploma to birth certificate. All of it. It's changed. Everything. Passport, all of it. Thank God I don't have to get my passport renewed until like 2028, I think. No, maybe 2030, somewhere around there, 32. But anyway, so yeah, probably 32. But anyway, so it's West Virginia is just following in line. And I've got friends in West Virginia. A lot of friends. I got family in West Virginia. I got family all over the darn state. All up in those hollers over there in Mingo County and Wayne County and Cabell County and Logan County and Wyoming County. All the counties around through there. Yeah, I got family over there. I got family all over Pike County and Martin County, Kentucky, and this whole region. I mean, thank goodness we have a Democratic governor here in the state of Kentucky, but they have a supermajority on the Republican side in the legislature here in the state. Oh, yeah, they're always doing some crazy stuff. Here, too, they do vetoes on everything. The governor vetoes something and they'll override a veto. Anyway, so now that was something that's happening in West Virginia, and that just pisses me off too. And I know that there's a lot of people across the country are being impacted by things like this. We're just going to have to call it out and do everything we can to make sure, one, that we are safe and secure, that we're doing what we can in our communities to make sure people know that we are good people just like them, that we are no different than anyone else. We've gone through more than they will ever be able to contemplate or understand. We've dealt with and suffered through more things than anybody can possibly imagine. However, and that makes us strong, that makes us resilient, that makes us capable of overcoming everything, every obstacle that we face, because we've been through so much already. Okay. Now, let's move on down the line here. I'm going to go to another news story. And I'm just going to start doing the little news stories in the top. So let me go share screen again. And we'll go with this one. Pete Hegseth orders rapid review of military fitness. You know what he's trying to do, right? He's trying to find if any of the military fitness standards were reduced in order for women to be able to get into combat roles. Because he doesn't want women in the military. He doesn't want them there. He doesn't think that women ought to be there. He thinks women ought to be home cooking and making babies. That's what Hegseth believes, folks. If you don't, he's a fundamentalist Christian of the faith of, let me see, what's that guy's name? Anyway, there's some guy out west that he and his family are part of, his church. And I'm going to tell you, truthfully, they have a theocratic authoritarianism vein that they and their church has the right to rule over the country, and the country is subservient to them. That's what they believe. And they also believe it's all patriarchy, all men in leadership roles, men in church roles, men. I think there's a song about that. Men. Oh, wait a minute. That was a show. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing on this one. I'll go pick up another one. All right. Another story. Let's see. Let me get rid of this one. I don't know what I've been doing. Okay. And over to there, here, come back to the show again, folks. And let me see. Let's go share another story I found fascinating. This one is also about what's going on with DOGE, okay? USPS, United States Postal Service, agrees to work with DOGE on reform, planning to cut 10,000 workers. Now, a number of years ago, 30,000 workers were cut from the USPS. It's not something new that's been done before. They've always been trying to streamline things and automate more and more and more and reduce their workforce and their overhead in all that regard. They've always been trying to do that, but they haven't done it enough to satisfy DOGE. But the ultimate goal, folks, if you don't know this, the ultimate goal is to destabilize all these agencies so much so that they can privatize them. That's what the ultimate goal is. Even in this one from the Associated Press, they do mention down in the story down here about potentially privatizing this. They're dropping these things out there every time they go into an organization to try to privatize it. You know, from USPS, the post office, over to the Veterans Administration, privatizing that, and the health care of veterans. All of this stuff they're trying to do, folks. They're trying to privatize everything they can possibly do, including the IRS, or even getting rid of it. I don't know. You know, just destroy everything that keeps the country afloat. Some things need to be changed. Absolutely. Need to be pruned out. Some things do. There are some programs that need to be programmed away. But who's to decide which ones? Well, the only way you can decide which one All righty. Let me see if I can go over here and share another story with you. Da-da-da-da. All right. This story. Yeah. This is from one day ago, the Western Journal, which is obviously very far right, way over there in line with the Heritage Foundation, so far right kind. Okay. Anyway, the Western Journal says that President Trump is set to invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 for the fourth time in history. Yeah, buddy. Yep. Going to invoke that act. Go look it up. Go dig it up. Go check it out. Exactly what that means. Yes. Absolutely. Authoritarian much, anyone? Come on. authoritarianism is on the rise in this country, if you don't know that already. All right, so that's going to be the news stories, except for one more. I've got one more I want to talk about. And let me get back to my other tab up here at the top. And I'm going to go over here and do the full speech from J.D. Vance. This was in Europe. Well, I don't just tap to download, but I don't need to do that. Okay, so I read through this today. A friend down in Florida pointed it out to me and said, you need to check this out. There's probably some good stuff in there that here's Vance talking down to the Europeans and basically, though, I did read through this thing very quickly. It's a long speech. But he does talk about the rise basically of, anti-democratic views within the United States. Now, basically, he's trying to redefine democracy in terms of his view of what democracy is that President Trump is a representative of what democracy is because they agree with free speech and all this kind of stuff. And they allow people their dissenting views and opinions and all that kind of thing. And that's what Vance is telling Europe. He's going around saying, hey, look, ours is the best. We don't censor people because of who they are, what they believe or anything like that. Because, that's not what democracies do. But he said, I see a rise of that kind of thing in Europe. Well, he must have blinders on or something, because the exact same thing is happening in the United States. The exact same thing. The rise of authoritarianism with Trump and Doge and Vance and all of these people across the whole of government. That's what they're doing, folks. They're doing exactly that. And they're stripping away the views of people they don't like. Really? Exactly. They don't want to see them in public. They don't want to see anything to do with veterans, particularly veterans like me. No. Open hands, folks. Open hands. They don't want to see it. They don't even want to hear my opinion on things. But then I will say this, there's some in our community who also don't want to hear my opinion because, they do get a little upset when I tell them that, hey, you've gone too far with that. Or you shouldn't be doing that. You should be living a better example. You should be living in such a way that you cannot bring any kind of ill repute on the fact that you're a trans person or a veteran or a veteran. You don't want to be in a position where what you do brings a bad light on the entire community. And I wish we could get that across to people to think through all your actions, whatever you're doing out there, whatever you're doing, make sure you do it in a way that, it's not a discredit to all of us or America for that matter. Really, really. That's what it amounts to, folks. So that's 18 minutes into this, and I'm going to call it a day, but I'm thinking about doing one tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern time because there are some people who can watch on the weekends. Share the word, get out there, subscribe to the newsletter, go to that www.cassandra-llc.com, go to the menu button, pick subscribe. There's one of the options on it. I think there's 3 different tabs on it. Go there, do that, and I hope to see you again. I don't see any chat options over here on the side, but I'm getting ready to shut it down, call it a day. Remember, the path forward goes through you.